What's
Hey,
up,
everybody.
everybody? About it. How you do that, Brian? You got to get it. There we go.
Look at you guys.
Well, howdy, everybody.
I get absolutely nothing.
You got to upgrade
probably
your
have to update your Mac.
update your computer. When I updated my
I'm
Mac,
not an early adopter on any, like nothing. Like I'm still, like my computer gets so tired of telling me like time to update stupid. And I'm just looking at it and all the things. And I'm just thinking, how much more of AI and technology and overreach do I want to volunteer into my life? And the answer is as little or none as possible. Yet eventually it still makes you comply. And I've got maybe a little story about that later. Anyways, good to see you, Bruce and Brian.
Good to see you guys too. And howdy, everybody in the comments and in the stream tonight. Great, glad to have you here. We just got started. We already have 75 people on here, which is awesome. We appreciate you being here. It's been, I guess we're kind of right here in winter now. It's we're pretty much, fall is behind us. We're late fall, early winter here. So I guess we'll kind of talk about some of that tonight, kind of where everybody is with their bees, kind of plans for next year a little bit, and a little bit about the upcoming holiday season. Maybe some things that you could do this time of the year that can be. Maybe we can talk about what you do this time of year, and maybe some ways to actually move your business forward this time of the year a little bit with some products and things like that. So hopefully it'll be I think it'll be a fun chat tonight, and we look forward to interacting with folks, and look forward to this chat tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun as always. Can you guys believe I think it's been in another week or so it will have been exactly 4 years since I think we did our first stream like on December 20th or something, or around that time frame of 2000 and was it 2002 or 2021, something like that. Anyway, whatever it was.
Yeah,
we've been doing this we've been doing this for 4 years. It's pretty wild. You think about it.
Yeah.
But and boy, what a wild chat that was that night.
4 years later, we're still talking about
way back on Brian's channel. You could look at that chat from December 20th to 21st of 2021. And man, we had like 7 or 8 of us on here, and it was wild. Yeah. My first time ever doing a live chat with a group like this. I tried a couple back on my own earlier in that year, and they've been okay, but I didn't know what I was doing. But bring Brian on, the pro at it, and it goes pretty wild. He said, "Hey, you want to try it?" And I said, "Sure." So Brian invited a bunch of people. We had Cayman on there. We had Greg. We had
the Royal Rumble.
We had a lot of people. We had some people that
Jose.
Yeah,
and
we had
Chad.
a lot of fun. Yeah, old Chad.
Tag team turnbuckles and elbows off the ropes. I mean, it was wild.
One guy, what was it? It was yelling at his wife or girlfriend in the background. She was in there trying to cook.
Chad.
Anyway.
Going outside smoking.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was hilarious. Anyway, but I digress.
It's been 4 years of that. If you think about that for just a second, Bruce, it's been 4. Now we've all I'm sure have been a part of other projects. I'm actually had just started another podcast completely separate and outside of what of the normal beekeeping thing. And I was thinking, how many other bee chats, podcasts, YouTube channels, iterations of YouTube channels have you been a part of? And when you get involved in those things, there's a natural season that those seem to have, and it when the season's over. And it's just a part of the journey. But with the stream team, it's more than that. It's more than just a bee chat. It's more than just a podcast. This is something that is way bigger than all that. I think because number one, how we are all grounded, that we do put God first, and then our family, and then our bees. There's always something to talk about. We can always share where we're at in our journey with life, with beekeeping, with the community. There's never a dull moment. And I think when what we bring to the table is that diverse, it's a lot more meaningful than just sitting here talking about, well, how are you splitting bees, or how are you doing? Like, you can only talk about that part of it so much, especially when you've got 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 years of experience under your belt, So we are 4 years later, and it still feels like we are nowhere even close to running its course of the season of the stream team. It's just, here we are, season 4. Let's go.
I feel like we've all grown in what we're doing. When you look at where we were 4 years ago, where our businesses were, what our concepts were, or what we were doing, look at where the conferences were. The conferences, the one big one that we've attended over the years, and also the other one.
Those have all changed.
And look at all the, just since then, all the different, just the community, man. It's just so many different community spinoffs, people doing all kinds of crazy things. And here we are, we're still here pretty much. Now we've missed a few Wednesday nights, but not a lot in 4 years. And so it's been pretty cool. And even the nights where one or two of us couldn't jump on, most of the time one of us or both the other two hop on and maybe we get a guest on. But it's been just great. Some people here in the chat, I see we've had several of these people in our chats with us. And so it's just been a tremendous opportunity. And sometimes, just to be honest, and anyone who's involved with these kind of chats knows that sometimes working up the days leading up to it, I'm like, oh man, can I do it? I'm tired. I don't know. But then when we get on here, I never get off here thinking, man, I sure regret doing that. It's always a great experience. We always have a good time with it. And I think some very valuable lessons, obviously about bees, but also about life have been shared here. A lot of great, not just us talking, the three of us, but guests we've had on. And also in the most important thing of the whole chat is probably the comments over here, the live chat that's going on. And so many things, so many people have met each other through that experience right there in the comments. And I think people have been given solutions and helped each other out many, probably hundreds of times over the past 4 years in the comments here in the chat. So it's just awesome to have this community out there, and it's awesome to be a part of it. And you guys, I consider you guys to be two of my best friends, if not my best two friends in the world right now. And, have we not been involved in beekeeping and not somehow connected 4 years ago, then who knows? We've all been in a different place, obviously. And I hope that I've been able to bring something to the table here. I know both of you guys have influenced me greatly. So anyway, enough of the sappy stuff.
Amen on that.
Let's move on to what's going on up in your neck of the woods. I know it's December. We just got done with Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving season, and obviously I have so much to be grateful for. This past weekend, I had family. Both of my daughters that are married and have grandbabies were here. One of them lives here now, and the other one moved away. And then we have another daughter that's going to get married on January 1st. We had all of them here. My son wasn't able to make it, but we had a wonderful time. And then, most importantly, obviously the fellowship of family, hanging out. Most importantly, we were able to bless my daughter's young baby, little Rosie. She's just she's the cutest little thing, and we were able to bless her at church on Sunday, which was incredible. And her in-laws flew down from Canada for that, and so that was really cool.
Awesome. And
then this less important but awesome nonetheless is BYU won, and so did Alabama. So that was awesome. And now BYU's playing in the Big 12 Conference Championship to hopefully get a chance at the playoff here this coming week against Texas Tech, who already beat them once. And so maybe we can pull it off this time. But it's just been I've been tired. I've been a little bit sick under the weather. I've had this cold thing. I don't know. A lot of people around here have gotten this where it's just deep in my chest. It's almost like a flu type thing, or just hacking up stuff, just coughing, especially when I try to sleep at night. But I think I'm just about over that, which is nice. And so maybe things are really looking up right now in a good place. Greg, how about up in Hopewell, Ohio? What's going on with you up there?
Now we got a little bit of that fuzzy white stuff, little bit of that snow, which is absolutely, it's treacherous to sometimes get around in, especially the first snow like that of the season. But boy, is it absolutely gorgeous. That quiet, the absolute quiet blanket of peace that just covers the forest floor, covers the farm when it's in that snow. Boy, I absolutely love that. And I every time it happens and you stand out there and you're in that moment. For me, it's always a reminder of how blessed we are, and that what kind of quiet and what kind of peace that we are given from the Lord. Now, it might not seem quite so peaceful when your vehicle's, in a ditch or in those kind of situations, but I'm a big fan of the snow here. So that's covering everything. It's really, helping with I love a Christmas season, Thanksgiving through Christmas, where there's snow on the ground and there's snow outside. And it's actually been a little while since we've really had that here in our neck of the woods, which usually rain and ice and that nasty stuff. So that's going here as far as the outside stuff. I still never got the bees moved where I wanted them to move, and I hope to do that at some point. But now I'm going to be, balancing out, is it too cold? When you get down to like single digits, you got to be really careful moving bees, putting them on trailers and trucks, because if they do bust off the cluster, they might not be able to get back. So it's like trying to get the right timing's everything. And I have failed with the timing on some things this year. And so we'll just have to see how that plays out. But right now, I think we've all been bombarded with just, I don't really know how to say it nicely, but just absolutely bombarded from all directions with the constant Black Friday sale stuff all the time, emails, text, even phone calls. And for me, I get a little bit rubbed raw, even though we have an online business and we want to be able to be profitable. We've got to be profitable. Some of the approaches and tactics of the companies that are just peddling nothing but Chinese garbage on how they just infiltrate everything. So for me, that's always something that I'm thinking about. What's interesting is it's a part of everything. Like you can't go your socials, your emails, your text message. Like we have volunteered into this ridiculous, excessively consumeristic type of a situation. And you would say, well, Greg, don't you have a supply shop? And don't you? Yeah, I do. And we have to make a living, but there's a right way to do that. We can operate with integrity and ethics. I guess I'm a little bit just burnt out and burnt up with just the constant bombardment of all of these things. It's that is one of the unfortunate parts of the season, but it is what it is. There are a lot of great companies out there who have products for sale. This is the time of year when you do have a small business, though, where you've got to start thinking about, okay, well, what is the product that you have? What's a creative way to get your product out to the marketplace? And there's a lot of just here in our circle. I know Brian has some great honey products. I know Bruce has some great honey products. In the circle here on the comments, Flower Street Farm is doing a great, actually one of the few bee-related emails that when I see an email come from Flower Street Farm, I just love to see them do well and love to see that they're out there making it happen and they're sending emails. So there's a certain aspect where you actually love and want to see someone do well. So that part's pretty cool. Here at the farm, it's the end of the season, so we have officially started taking orders for packaged bees. We've got 3 routes that are up right now, nature'simagefarm.com, and every year that part of the business grows and grows. We are going to have a lot of other offerings that we're going to be bringing to the table, but we're not getting in a hurry and blasting everything out right now. But I love this little thing that I put together, because I always joke around and say, fellas, get her what she really wants for Christmas: packaged bees. And so, anyways, we've got 3 packaged bee opportunities on sale right now. Probably the lowest price that I think I've seen. But what we do different, and this is really important, and then I'll get off my soapbox here. One of the things that absolutely, I don't want to say it makes me irate, being a beekeeper and starting as a beginning beekeeper and then growing the apiary and then growing into the business of beekeeping and supplies. My heart is always with the beginning beekeeper and knowing this entire journey and progression intimately. And one of the things that absolutely just infuriates me is when there are companies out there who they are making moves and they are taking people's money and they are doing the wrong thing. And there's zero accountability. And the beginning beekeeper has no idea. And what do I mean by that? One of the absolute worst ways for a beginning beekeeper to receive their packaged bees is to have them shipped in the mail. Yet there are so many companies who are pushing that and pushing that and pushing that, charging you $180, $190, sometimes $200 for a 3-pound package of bees to ship it to you. And those bees arrive dead, or the stress of that causes extreme performance concerns, with the queen, with the colony. Under no circumstance do we ever recommend that package bees be shipped in the mail. They are delicate. We go down and we actually pick them up ourselves. We transport them ourselves as beekeepers to bring them back to the farm. We drive through the night to get them to our customers as fresh as possible. And when you do that, the bees perform amazing. I can't even imagine in good conscience shipping packaged bees to anybody across the country, knowing how hard that shipping actually is on them. And the majority of those folks will do nothing about the dead bees. I can't tell you how many folks we talk to every single year who get burnt by dead bees in the mail. And I guess I hate to see that. There are way better ways to do that. Getting nukes, picking up your packages, catching swarms, whatever you do, don't have package bees shipped in the mail. You'll highly regret it. What were you going to say, Brian?
Now he, I think 2 years he has, just because now, to back up and just give a little bit of the background story there, he's had a lot of stuff going on, you know, building a house and just different things like that. So his hands were tied as far as time that he could go and pick up bees, you know, packages, things like that. So he had packages mailed, you know, 2 years. And both times, like the 1 year, I think almost every one of his packages other than one was dead.
Yeah.
This last year, it was like half of them or something like that were dead. And it's like, you know, the post office, I think they were days, like where it was supposed to be like an overnight thing. It ended up, it was like 4 or 5 day thing. And, you know, when you've got bees that are getting shipped through USPS 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. They are highly perishable. They've got to be transported under the right conditions, or you can nuke them literally. You can get them too cold, you can get them too wet, you can get them too hot, too much transport stress. I mean, it is bad enough having queen bees shipped in the mail, and there are certainly performance issues with queen bees being shipped in the mail, let alone a package of bees going USPS. Anyways, folks, if you're looking at getting into bees this year, if you're just tuning into this, I would just highly encourage you, under no circumstance should you have packaged bees shipped to your door. Find a local supplier, even if you got to make a drive. If they are the ones that are actually bringing them up from the south and you can go pick them up, you will very much appreciate that approach. But that's where we're at right now, Bruce and Brian, is just getting the package bees started for the year. We've got several bee clubs that we're working with, getting them bulk buys on packages. And right now it's the lowest price of the year right now for package bees. The price will keep going up, but package bees are a great option for a lot of different opportunities. So we can talk more about that kind of thing later, but that's kind of where we're at right now with some of the new things going on at nature'simagefarm.com.
Yeah, Greg, I would emphasize too that, for example, when I've ordered queens through the mail, I've got them all the way. I've gotten them from you. I've gotten them from California. I've gotten them from here, look, not too far away in Florida. I've gotten them from Iowa, and I finally learned that the way the queens seem to, at least queens, if I order them, seem to do the best is if I have them come to my local UPS store. If you have one of those available, because that's an air-conditioned, controlled climate. And my front porch, you know, the southwest sun hits it pretty hard. So if they deliver those things in the middle of the day in the summertime, or even in the early, you know, even in the spring, April, May, if that sun's beating down on them, it can be bad. And so typically the whoever delivers the bees will let me know. But still, I like to have them at the local UPS store, and it works really well for me. But I've never ordered packages. That's one thing I never would do. And I tend to agree with you. That makes a lot of sense. Packages or nukes, whatever you got, it's best to transport them yourself or have someone bring them to your door. Brian, tell us about what's going on with you. I understand it's cold up there. Before we move on to you guys' temperatures, though, I will show you. I know you guys have similar temperatures, but
how can we kick this screen off?
I'm going to do this, but you guys are going to be
screen off. Let's just kick them out.
You guys are going to. No. I mean, we're not hot by any stretch. We're 50s.
What is that?
3950. We've got 95% chance of rain tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday, which
like that.
which I need to get the formic out of my hives Friday, but I don't guess it'll probably happen this weekend because of this. I'm not going to be out there in the 95% rain unless it's, it may be in the afternoon or something. I can get it done in the morning, but so we are chilly, but not cold, not truly cold. But of course, people down here think it's cold. The bees are definitely clustering right now at 50 degrees in the daytime, 39 at night. So we don't have the bitter cold that you guys have, but it is chilly for us. And Eric from Spirito says we need the rain. It has been really dry, and that is true. We do need the rain, so that's good. But Brian, tell us what's going on up in your neck of the woods, and then we're going to dive into some more topics. Greg's already hit on on the main topic for tonight. We're going to hit on some more here in a minute.
I'm going to share one picture, and this will let everyone know.
That's all you got to see.
What is going on outside? There we go.
Oh, she's a real beaut, Clark.
Yep. That's a 2-lane road right there. It looks mighty fine, Clark.
Yeah.
I like that it's flat. That it's at least, it's treacherous, but it's at least flat. We've got in areas here on our road, we've got probably, 200, probably 200, maybe a little more feet of elevation in a very short expanse with a cow path down it when it snows, if that, but wow.
Greg, you mentioned earlier how peaceful it is with a new blanket of snow. And I've lived in snowy areas before. We had some last year here, believe it or not, but it is incredibly just beautiful and peaceful, that new soil. I guess it just buffers all the sound or something. It absorbs all the sound. But two of the most peaceful things I think I've seen are, a fresh blanket of snow like that, and also just a light drizzly rain where it's just kind of lightly, that'll just put you to sleep so fast. It's so pleasant and peaceful. But thunderstorms are a little wild, but those peaceful drizzly rainstorms are pretty peaceful as well.
For sure.
Brian, carry on.
Yeah, no, and we're supposed to this winter has, and we're not even technically in winter yet. But I mean, it has come in pretty harsh because up to this point in December, we've had 11.8 inches of snow here. Now, some of it is melted off, like December 1st, it snowed some, and then it warmed up to like 36, so a little bit melted. Then we got more. But they already said that if we get no snow for the rest of December, we will not fall in the top 10 as far as least snowiest Decembers. We've already gotten out of that category. In the next, I think, 10 days, like I looked at the 10-day forecast, our high is 34. So we're not getting that warm. Tomorrow night, they're predicting that we're going to break the record. They said that we were going to go down to 8 degrees. Now they're saying 7 with like -3 or -4 wind chills. So winter is here. But now, if you look back at some of the prior winters that we've been doing this now almost 4 years. We've had some Decembers that, Greg, where it's tough because it's 55, 60 degrees and the bees are out flying and there's absolutely nothing for them. And then you're feeding them like mad. Well, all the colonies are, they've got weight. I've got them all, tightened up. They've got the fondant on and they're just wrapped up and that's it. They're sitting there. I'll see, if we get, I don't know, if we get upper 30s, low 40s, I might, go over and I could peek with that little camera that I have, but I really don't want to bother them right now and disturb them. I don't want to go and knock on boxes and things like that and have them get, worked up. They're sitting tight. So I think it'll be good, but that's it. I mean, right now we really have nothing going on as far as outside work. The only thing I'm doing bee related is today I sat and I bottled up, I don't know, 80 or so, 90 jars of honey, getting ready for the weekend. So
nice.
Yeah. So that's it. It's just bottle stuff up. And I've got a big market coming up this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that usually everyone down there that gets a spot there, they do exceptionally well. It's it's a well planned event. So they do this market with like a Christmas tree lighting and all this stuff. So, it's just they bring a lot of family and all that down. Everybody gets in that holiday shopping, spirit. And then when they're looking at local products that are packaged up in these nice little, baggies with dippers and stuff like that, everybody just gets all warm and fuzzy inside and they want to buy local honey. So,
Well, that's kind of a good segue into the topic of tonight that we talked
see
about a
what
little
I
bit
did there?
beforehand. And and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But Brian, can you pull up the link to the conference that we're going to be going to in February? And
Yeah.
Greg, if you could take just a minute and just kind of briefly talk about that before we move on to the next segment.
Yeah,
Wisconsin
Brian will get that pulled up. That's there's an old saying that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And there's been kind of a journey with beekeeping conferences, trade shows, conventions. They change, they go through all these different things. Sometimes it changes for the good, sometimes they change for the worse. But what I really appreciate is when a group of folks get together to be able to provide a solid learning opportunity and an experience for folks, and meet a need where that need has not been met. And the folks at the Midwest Honeybee Expo this February 6th and 7th have really knocked it out of the park. They still have this grassroots community-based feel that is often lost with a lot of these type of opportunities. And they are pulling together not just the same old type speakers, but they're bringing in content creators. They're bringing in not just PhDs, but folks with actual research that is relevant to right now and moving the needle forward. I really appreciate that. The Midwest Honeybee Expo, they have asked the Stream Team Beekeeping Chat, the three of us, to be speaker spotlight guest speakers. It's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to do the Stream Team live from the Midwest Honeybee Expo. That's going to be a really great opportunity for us to not just have a live audience, but to be able to engage in an audience, especially our Stream Team chat folks. That's going to be a lot of fun. There's so many great speakers and just people that are going to be there, content creators. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm also looking forward to, they've given me kind of the reins to be able to put together another panel discussion. Now, last year I put together a treatment-free panel discussion, which was really just a really great conversation, extreme left, extreme right side of this topic, kind of bringing all of those things together to better understand the nuances on the idea of not treating and why, and the idea of why treating is important for operations that are in business to do it. But more importantly, better understand kind of the underpinnings and the nuance, the content, the context, and the scale. That's super important this year. Looking forward to hosting another treatment-free conversation that you don't want to miss. It's going to be awesome. So if you're anywhere near Wisconsin, or you can get there, Madison, Wisconsin area, this February 6th and 7th, come say hi to Bruce and Brian and myself and be a part of the Stream Team Beekeeping Chat live. It is going to be awesome. The Sosmans are going to be there. Tom and Melissa, I believe they're giving a talk on, I think it's comb honey. So it's always great. Just full. I gotta warn you about them though. The Sosmans, when you get the Sosmans together and you get some of us other knuckleheads together, it's going to be shenanigan central, and there will be a lot of short stories, long, and I know you'll love it. So we'll see you February 6th and 7th in Madison, Wisconsin for the Midwest Honeybee Expo.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So let's just kind of see if we can take a few minutes and move on to the topic that we discussed earlier, talking about tonight. And then if we have time for questions at the end, we'll roll through some of those. For those who have questions, if they're in all caps, it's easier for us to see those. Also, keep in mind, we do have super chat, super stickers, available if you like to donate or share with us. But anyway, so what I thought we'd talk about tonight, we got Christmas coming up. People are looking for gift ideas, and I think as beekeepers, we have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of the season, and with a really, like Greg talked about, a local, you know, homegrown product, and whether it be honey, beeswax, any products you've come up with. Some people will make lotions, soaps, different things, but right now is an ideal time to be able to share these products. And so I thought we could each talk a little bit about maybe our business plan kind of during the Christmas season. If you do anything special for that season, anything different, or if you just kind of do the same thing and just try to, you know, highlight it during Christmas season. I sell a lot of honey during the year. I guess I'll go ahead first. I sell a ton, well, literally tons of honey during the year, but mostly when I sell my honey, and I'm going to kind of show the different products I have and maybe give you guys all some ideas too. But mostly what I sell during the season, I probably sell just standard wildflower honey. It's a kind of a plain label. It's nothing too fancy. It's a stock label from, what's that company up by you, Brian?
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. And anyway, I've sold literally thousands of bottles, 2-pound bottles, and I have the 1-pound bottles as well. These are by far my biggest sellers, and I sell these throughout the season. I sell today. I have a honey box outside my house. We put 4 of each of these in there. Make sure we try and keep 4 of each of these in there. And today, I came home and the entire box is empty, and so that's just a year-round thing. We would keep honey available, but these are the products I sell. By far, probably 80+% of my honey that I sell is in those type bottles. And during the Christmas, I've just recently actually. I've sold some of this before, but I've really figured out how to actually make it hot. And with a little help and guidance from Brian, I don't know how hot his must be because this turned out hot, and I didn't use much of the really hot peppers in this as he did. But I do have this hot honey right here that's also on my website, and it's available. We didn't make very much of it, but this is a hot item. No pun intended right there. But anyway, it's another idea of something you can sell. That's throughout the year, but maybe during the Christmas season, people are looking for gifts. I'm going to think about it. Now, I know there's going to be some people in the comments who are going to jump on me about this, but I sell my honey, and this is Southeast Alabama pricing. So I want people to realize, I see people on big beekeeping forums that say, how much should I charge for my honey? And I have some people, one of the most common answers, and I agree with this, for if you can sell it for that, is $1 an ounce. A lot of people say $1 an ounce. Personally, if I tried to sell mine for $1 an ounce at 11,000 pounds of honey, I would sell some of it, but I would not be able to get rid of all my honey. And my prices are a little bit lower than what most people recommend. And so people kind of, they're going to scratch their heads a little bit. But I sell my 2-pound bottle for 16, my 1 pound for 9. I could probably go up a little bit, but that has been fair. I've sold. And last year when we harvested in the spring, my last bucket of honey was in my bottling tank. And so it was the exact perfect amount. And so I feel like I sold it pretty good. That's a fair price. I could probably sell it for a little bit more, but it works for me. And I'm happy with that. Look, some people might be ticked off at me for selling it for that price, but around here in Alabama, I think you could probably sell a lot of honey at $10 a pound or a little bit more, but this works for me. So anyway, that's kind of what I do. But if you think about it, just the point I'm trying to get to is at Christmas time, if you're trying to look for gifts for people, if you want to buy someone a gift, a lot of people love honey and they're willing to spend, that's a simple gift to give to people in your office or at work or whatever. And it's not going to break the bank. The better, in my opinion, what makes even a nicer gift though, is these there's different types of glass jars, but I use these Muth jars. Now this one is not, I'm in the process of doing this. I have a guy that ordered 10 from me yesterday. I took them to him today and he ordered 3 more to give to his staff, the people he works with and friends, I guess. I'm not sure all he's giving them to, but there's 3 sizes of Muth. They call it Muth. I used to say Muth, but I think the way you say it is Muth, M-U-T-H. But they've got a really cool design on them. If you haven't seen them before, they've got 4 ounce, 8 ounce, and a pound. And of course, it's in weights, 1/4 pound, 1/2 pound, and a pound jars. And what I do, I haven't finished this one yet, but I take them, I heat up some beeswax and I dip them in the beeswax like this. And it puts a really beautiful wax seal on the cork up here. And then I tie this label. I've got a pretty label I tie around it right here. That's kind of what it looks like, except it's got the beautiful wax seal when I'm done. And I sell them like that. I sell this 8 ounce Muth jar right here for $10. So, and but see, you think about it, that sounds like a lot of money to some people. It's probably not enough to others, but $10 for a gift for someone is nothing. And I sell my 1-pounders for $18. I could probably sell it for a little bit more, but you get somebody, you get a nice, and that's a really nice, classy looking gift for either 10 or $18 or 20 or even 25. If you charge that much, that's not bad at all. And, but they really are classy and nice. And I had a lady today, actually the lady in Slocum where I keep my bees, she said, I want to get some honey for gifts for people. So she's ordering a pretty big order. She's getting a couple of the glass jars, mostly the plastic ones. But then another friend of mine, well, let me finish my products here that I think would make great gifts. Started making these 6-inch wax pillar candles. Got this mold from Better Bee, and they smell so good. And there's one actually burning over my shoulder right here. It's about done. But these candles, it was just like this. It was the same size. They'll last for over 30 hours burning. I think the one we tested was like 33, 34 hours, something like that. And the one that's burning over here, I don't know. It's been going for probably 30 hours or more. And it's probably got about that much left on it. So it's still going. I mean, we've blown it out and lit it several times, but in these live chats, if you see that, that's one of these candles burning. If you see a little flame up there between the honey up there that I've been gifted. And then the last product that I kind of have on my website that might be make a good gift is just these little bear candles. And I sell these for $4 or $5, and I sell these for 16 for this. And that's about almost, it's like 11 ounces, between 11 and 12 ounces here. And this is about 2 or 2.5 ounces, these little bears, I think. They're about 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches. They're about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches tall. These things will burn for 4.5 hours, by the way, the one we tested did. So those are just some great products, some things you can sell, make great gifts. And right now is a great time to do it. And I actually got an order from a friend of mine in Utah today, just a guy that he was actually a missionary companion of mine on my mission. And he sent me an order on Shopify. It just came in right before the chat. And I was like, holy cow, who sent this order? It was a large order. And I don't get orders this. He's playing music. You guys playing music?
I'm not.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't see it, but he ordered 6 of the pillar candles, 5 of the 1-pound Muth jars. I'm sure he's probably getting gifts. He ordered 10 1-pound pure beeswax blocks, and then 15 of the 1-pound standard honeys. And so I got to figure out how to package that all up. But that's a pretty nice order for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had some people buy 5-gallon buckets with orders that big, but I've never had just a standard honey order. I don't think that big. Maybe I have, but so it's a great time of the year to just kind of be able to reap the benefits and the fruits of these bees that you love so much, the products they produce, and to share this incredible thing with the world. Let's see, we got some questions coming. I hope we're able to get to some of these. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to, but if we don't get your questions tonight, folks, we'll answer them next week. Just ask them when we get on here next time, whenever that is. So, but I think it's a great time, like I say, to be able to share products for gifts for Christmas. And none of these products I just showed you will break the bank. They're all very affordable, like to give to teach your kids, teachers at school. They're really cool to give to coworkers, to employees, and just friends, for gifts to put in a basket with different things, with different little arts and crafts and gifts and treats. And so don't be afraid to market your product during Christmas time. Not because, and it is about money, yes, but it's more about just being able to provide opportunities for people to have an affordable gift that is straight from the home, from your hometown, straight from the hive, and to help benefit on all the work that your bees have put in throughout the year. So, Brian, we'll move on to you now. Do you have anything special you're doing for Christmas, or kind of talk a little bit about what you do this time of the year and throughout the year with your products, and making a little bit of a profit with your products? Because ultimately, even if you're a hobby beekeeper, it's nice to be able to reap some benefits from this incredible thing we call beekeeping.
I found, everybody, what Bruce was saying about your region, the pricing varies. Also the demand of product. I've tried for those that don't know, I'm in Northeast Ohio. So I've done cut comb. I did 1 year, 2 or 3 dozen. I got the little containers, had everything all set up nice. I sold a handful of them, was it. And that went through 2 years. So I ended up, they got fed back to the bees.
Hey, Brian, can I say one thing about that real quick? Interestingly, I sell a lot of my honey here at a local farm called Appleton Farms, and they sell hundreds of thousands of bottles of my honey. This past year, I did some simple comb. Simple comb is in little packages that you can put in the hives. Still trying to figure out how to get more efficient with it, but I think I ended up with whatever it was. I took most of what I had to them. And the interesting thing was that they said that the old timers that came around, because they were charging a premium for those things, they were like, that's too much. We're not going to pay that for that. That's, it's ridiculous or whatever. They complained about it. But the young people that came out there to visit the farm and to buy produce and stuff out there, when they discovered it, it was like gone immediately. Like they just came and just bought them out really fast. And so it is the market that you have, the clientele that you have. Sometimes, believe it or not, the younger folks are more willing to splurge a little bit and spend money and recognize the value of those things than some of the old timers that probably bought those type of things for $2 back in the day. They can't believe they'd have to pay $11 or $12 for something like that or more. So
yeah,
I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. No, and so I found cut comb, it just does not sell in my area. As far as honey itself, I only offer really 2 sizes. Like throughout the summer, I will have the typical, 8-ounce, the half-pound jars, and then I do the 1-pounders. Same, I get my labels from the same exact company, Blue Sky, and that's it. I have found up here that the 8-ounce and 16-ounce sizes, that's just gold. Now, when we get more towards this time of the year, and like I said, I'm doing a market this weekend, this is the only time of the year that I will set up some of these. I'll do the little 2-ounce bears, and they sell like wildfire just because these little buggers are ideal stocking stuffers. I've had people, when I sell these, they're 2-ounce, I'll sell them for $2 just because it's, each bear plus the time to fill these little things, and for $2, this is, you can't go wrong with these. So these do really well. Now, this time of the year also, I do, and I think you can see it. Yeah, you can see it a little bit in there. I do vanilla infused honey. This stuff is just killer. I've done really well with this at certain specific times of the year. I did really well with the vanilla infused honey last year at the December markets. Most of the people that bought the vanilla honey, they were going to use it making baklava and different products like that. So, and then I had at the one market I did, a couple chefs bought a number of those jars because they were going to offer it on like those charcuterie boards. When they set up like the meats and cheeses, they were going to then offer the vanilla honey with that. So, you have to know your market, but like this stuff here too, like you were saying, the hot honey has done really well. Now I don't even think I told you guys. So my recipe that I have, and I just did a short, I don't know, the other day, just so I could have some content out there. So I normally do ghost pepper. It's crushed red pepper, and then I have a certain amount of dried, it's crushed ghost pepper that I use. That's my hot stuff. I just recently, because I've had a number of people say that's too hot. When they try it, they're just like, man, that's too hot. I would like it, but that's too hot for me. So I whipped up a batch of habanero. So instead of the ghost pepper, I used habanero. And so my wife, when I gave her a tasting of the ghost pepper, she didn't like it. She was sitting there coughing, and, I think she was doing like Greg, what you were doing. I mean, she can't tolerate that spicy food. So when I mixed it up, I called her out to the kitchen. I said, "Here, try this." And she said, "That's that hot honey on a 1." I said, "No, just trust me, try it." She tried it, and this was from somebody that does not like spicy food. She said, "I like that." So now I'm gonna offer up two different hot honeys, just different levels, so to say. Um, but in the wintertime here too, I've got uh, my fall honey. Now I've only got 36 of these. Was it? I had now I saved a couple pounds for us, of course, but I put them in these nice little like baggies, and they've got the dipper with them and stuff. Just to make it look nice. Everybody wants to, gift, give a gift to somebody. So, but these jars, I've tried them out recently. They are nice, but like you were saying, different times of the year. I don't take glass throughout the summer markets because it typically does not sell. People do not want the glass, they want a squeeze bottle. This time of the year, people are more into, they want something that looks nice to give to a friend. So that's why I've got so many of the glass products for this time of the year, just because it does sell. And like my typical honey, I'll sell my 8 ounce of my regular honey for $7. My 16-ounce jars are 14. I was selling it for 6 and 12, but like bottles and things like that went up. I had to buy bottles, and then like stickers. When I bought stickers from Blue Sky earlier in the year, I spent 400 and some dollars on labels, and it's like, geez, oh man, I hated to bump it up like that $2, but it's like, if you're spending $400 on labels and then a couple $100 on jars, you have to recoup that money somewhere. So, but even still, I mean, there's another honey stand that's usually at the market that I go to. They sell their 1 pound jars in glass for $20. So, I mean, like my 1 pounders being at 14, I mean, it's a $6 difference. So,
It's
and
a
I
it's a
do,
regional thing for sure. It really
it
is.
is, it's very regional. But I mean, you do have to kind of know your market, just because certain products like, these little 2 ounce bears, I tried taking a few of these earlier in the year just to see if anybody would want them. Nobody even looked at them. They just don't want them,
What do you sell those for?
$2.
Hmm.
I'd have people pick them up and they'd look at them and say maybe later in the year, and I tell everybody that would say that, I'm like, stop down to the flea, in December. I'll have enough of these. Grab a handful of them, and there's your stocking stuffers. So,
Yeah.
but that's it. And like as far as other than that, like I don't have a honey harvest like what you do. I don't have a brick and mortar, supply shop like Greg. After this market, that's typically it as far as like me selling products. I might, just depending on what I have left, I might sneak a couple orders through Shopify. Um, but that's it. This market here, last year and even the year before that, I did really well. So I'm kind of banking on this market is like it's the finale of the season, and we'll see. I mean, this market here, whatever I sell here, this is gonna kind of dictate on how many boxes I buy in the spring.
Yeah.
So, but it's all good. I mean, but it is regional, and you do have to know the time of the year.
I think law of supply and demand too. If you don't have very much to sell, like if I was selling 1,000 pounds, I would probably charge more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I mean I don't have
Yeah.
the need to sell near as much, and people will buy a certain a certain kind of certain people will pay more for it.
Yep.
But if you're trying to sell it in quantity like I am, and I probably could charge a little more, but it just is comfortable to me and it's comfortable to my customers. They're used to it. And I have a lot of repeat customers that come back. And I'll be honest, I sell probably as many of the 2 pounders or more than I do of the 1 pounders. As far as the glass go, what I do is I always keep, I don't bottle my honey up. I don't bottle a ton up at a time. I bottle up pretty much on demand. And so I always have all the different sizes of bottles available. And so as people need them, if they have an order in the summertime or whenever it is, I bottle it up for them then. I stay ahead a little bit on the plastic jars because they disappear so quickly, and I've got my head a little bit on the candles but as far as the glass, I bottle those are simply on demand because I'll go months sometimes without any orders of glass, and all of a sudden I'll get a big order, and so I just I've got my bottling tank full of honey, my Maxent. Greg, hear that? My Maxent bottling tank.
I like the sound of that, Bruce.
I keep honey in there, and it works great, and I just bottle it up as I need to. Greg, I know you've already talked a little bit about your business, but is there anything particular during this holiday season that you do differently, or is it pretty much you kind of have a standard? Just kind of what is there anything differently that you do in Christmas or during Christmas time, or any ideas that you might have for Christmas sales?
Well, we're kind of on the bee and the supply side, so that's a little bit different. One thing that we try to do is not be so aggressively bombarding and annoying with advertising our products. It's hard to find the fine line on getting your product out there, getting folks to recognize it. It's a fine line between that and just constantly peddling something. That's a line sometimes that sometimes some years I think I do better than others. But when it comes to, I think, selling a product, is if you are growing your business and you are growing your offering, it really helps if you like what you're doing, if you love the certain aspect of it, because when it really comes down to the nitty gritty go time where you have got to dig in and it's nothing but blood, guts, and ambition, it's a little easier to keep pushing through those rough patches when you love the thing still. So I would encourage folks, as you are growing and building whatever your enterprise looks like, whatever the scale looks like, build it around something that you actually love. Yeah, there are times where we have to do things that are uncomfortable, that we don't like as much, right? Because it helps pay the bills, or it's a fiefdom of our offerings. But try to focus on the things that you actually love, because what I have found is when you focus on the things that you actually love, the things that get you up out of bed, the things that you're so passionate about, what you'll find is you're actually going to create a superior product. It's way easier to create a superior product that people love when you are inspired, when you can be creative, when you can be artistic, and then when you can have those efforts rewarded, whatever that looks like. Sure, it would be nice if we can just be rewarded on high fives and pats on the backs, but the fact of the matter is we live in a capitalistic environment. So to be rewarded for our efforts appropriately, you'll find that there are a lot more opportunities when you are in that vein or in that groove of the thing that is you, that is uniquely you, the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that you love. So I would just encourage folks to spend some time thinking about that. There is a million things you could do, but what is the one thing that you do? What is the one thing that you really, really love? And what is the one thing that you think that you can bring a unique offering? Rather than be just another Johnny come lately who's out for everybody's lunch, trying to take and mimic and copycat the same products, find something unique to you. Because what you'll find is folks will back you. Folks will want to support you. But folks are tired of the same old that's been going on for so long. That applies not just to supplies and bees, but it applies to candles and balms and waxes and all the other things. I think Bruce and Brian, when you look at the products that you guys love and to create and that you're passionate about, there's a certain you-ness to that thing. There's a certain flavor and a certain composition of that product that is a little piece of you in all of those things. Bruce, how did you kind of arrive to create the products that you currently do?
Well, I've mostly been a honey guy. I've in the back of my mind, I want to do bees. I want to sell bees. I want to do queens, but I've just kind of really put a lot of effort into figuring out how to hopefully maximize my honey crop every year. And I enjoy the process. A lot of people really don't like the honey process, especially when it gets it's a lot of hard work. It's heavy, it's sticky. You get to a certain point, you have to get bigger equipment, and it's just it really kind of is a hassle. And the way I do it, I'm not quite in drums yet. I'm still doing the buckets, and so you got to move the buckets around. But I just really am in awe of the bees' ability to make this liquid gold that we call honey, and it just really intrigues me. And I've really worked hard to try and figure out how to maximize my honey production. I probably could do better, but I feel like I've done pretty well with that. Average probably around 100 pounds per production hive this year, if not a little bit more. And so I think that's pretty good. And I just love the idea of sharing that with people. When I first had bees, I just was kind of amazed at honestly how easy it is to sell honey. Like, you don't have to really sell it. People just have to know you have it, if that makes sense. You don't have to go out and talk people into buying a product. Part of that is because people love honey. Part of it too is because I believe in the product. I believe it's such a neat thing and it's such a cool thing. So honey has been my sweet spot, pun intended, for all these years. And I kind of enjoy it. I love the bees. I love splitting hives. I love seeing what the bees can do. It's just a miracle every time you open a hive, like we mentioned in that Bugs in the Box, Greg. Is there something divine about it? And lately I've really enjoyed I finally figured out how to kind of process the wax and get it clean in somewhat of a reasonable process that's not multiple, just not, very small batches and just difficult to get it clean and it's dirty and wax everywhere. I've kind of figured out how to do it, and I figured out how to make these beautiful candles. So it's kind of my next thing that I've enjoyed doing a little bit is the candles. But I just kind of figured out what I enjoy doing and I just do it. And then I do feel like I need to make money. There is a comment here. We're not probably going to be able to get to everybody's questions tonight, but Lisa had something here that she said that I agree with. And this kind of happened to me. She said, Grammy midwife Lisa up here in Ozark, not far from me, said, my bees have bought their own boxes, a heated bottling tank, wired my honey house, and financed all our vendor fees, among other things. They are becoming self-sustainable. So that was probably my goal when I first got into bees, was to have the bees pay for themselves. And of course, I've thought of, I was thinking business from the very beginning, but I didn't really, well, not the very beginning, but soon I realized there was an opportunity here. But the fact is, the only money I've gone into debt for with my bees was the original equipment and bees. That was like for 4 colonies, whatever that was. It was less than $1,000 probably initially back in 2013. And then I tried to do an investment with a website with a fellow that was $2,000 that didn't go anywhere. And so that was another thing that failed. But beyond that, the bees have always paid for themselves. I've got a bee account where everything I spend, we're in the black in that, and it's got some money saved up in there. So everything I buy, we pay for it as we go. And it's really been just almost amazing to me. I mentioned my honey prices earlier, and I know a lot of people probably shaking their heads saying you should charge more. But at that price, I've been able to establish a pretty decent business, and we've got a fair amount of money stashed away to be able to expand even more if we decide to. And it's just worked out well for me. The bees, I've been blessed, first of all, from above, from the Lord, and then I've also been blessed, the hard work the bees have put in. And so I feel like I'm just a manager of the bees. They do the work. And if I don't take care of them, if I don't manage them in the best possible way that I know how, then I'm letting them down in a way. And I feel like it's important. It's not really about me. It's about just being able to capitalize on what the bees do. There was a commercial guy down here. I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was a commercial guy from down in Florida. He told me one time, he said, people talk about commercial beekeepers and stuff, but he's like, look, we're giving these bugs a place to live. These insects a place to live. These bees a place to live. And in exchange, we kind of take, their fruits of their labors. And the truth is, when it comes to honey down here, if you don't harvest your honey, your bees are going to die because there's going to be too much honey in there. You're going to have issues with hive beetles and things like that. Pests are going to get in them. You have to get the honey off, or at least part of it, and condense them down. And I think it's probably that way everywhere. And so it's important. It's a relationship that we have with these little insects that if we take care of them, they'll take care of us, and vice versa. And it's really pretty cool. But that was a long answer to your question. But anyway, there you have it.
Brian, what about you? How did you come to the product offerings, your current lineup? What what helped steer and guide you to those?
It's trial and error. When I first started, when you get this honey, well, when to back up way back, when I very first started, I didn't even get enough honey to really store it in buckets. What I got, I would put it into pint and quart jars, and we would just, I'd give some to my mom, and we'd keep some. When I started getting into the buckets and then starting to have to do these markets, that's been 3 years ago. I had a slew of different sizes. I would take 2 ounces, 8 ounces, 16 ounces, 32 ounces, and I had all this stuff. And I found up here, believe it or not, my 2-pound jars, they did not sell. I ended up having to rebottle. I literally poured all of the honey out of the 2-pounders and rebottled it into 1-pounders, because people, when they'd say, okay, I want to get 2 pounds, I would grab a 2-pound jar and they'd say, no, I want 2 of the 1-pounders because I'm going to give one to like a brother. So they just don't sell. So I had a challenge then, because I had bought however many bottles, and it took me a little while to basically sell out of all of my 2-pound jars that I had. I've had a handful of people, they'll ask me, do you have larger sizes? And I just tell them, I'm like, it just doesn't pay for me to have those, because I might have a handful of sales out of the entire year that are larger than a 1-pounder. So it just does not pay. The real small ones, they just do not sell early in the year. So, it's just trial and error. I've gone through the years now, and I've learned, and you will learn when you very first start selling a product. You're going to learn what does not sell, and you're going to have to adapt. If you do not adapt, well, it's not going to turn out so hot for you. But you just have to read what your customers are telling you, and that's all.
That's hard. Reading the room, reading the venue, reading the customer base. I can't tell you. I mean, you would think, yeah, if no matter where you go in the country with beekeeping supplies, you could expect the same thing, but that is the furthest thing from the truth. There are even traveling 1 or 2 hours away from different places. The economics, the dynamics, the experience of beekeepers, it's so wild that it's as a vendor going to those things, it's actually hard to you can't plan for all the things. You just have to just go with a basic core set of things. Then as you learn the market and learn the areas, or then start to develop a little more variety if that's the way that you're going to. But I like what Miss Lisa says here. The key at markets is samples.
I've got 2 phrases that I use when I go down to the markets, and people crack up. I tell them the one that I say is it's from the comb to your home.
Oh, that's nice, Brian. I've never heard that.
And then with the samples, I always tell people, when they always say, and I forget who told me, it's probably been about 2 years ago, they said, offer samples. So I do. Now, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it'll be very difficult because everything is going to be frozen. So I probably am going to take some samples in a jar. That way I can just scoop it with the little spoons. I've got the little ice cream sampling spoons. But there's a phrase that I tell people when they say, can I try it? And I said, okay, but I'm just going to tell you, if you try it, you're going to buy it. And they do. And it works. They laugh. They get a little chuckle out of it.
Smart. That's the key to get them into you're probably, per ounce, you're probably better to sell 1-pounders for sure. But if you're going to try to move the volume, the sample, getting someone to know what it is and get them hooked.
Yeah.
A lot of the 1-pound and smaller is like, well, I don't know. It's honey. Is it any good? Does the guy put his toenails in his honey? Like, you don't know anything about a beekeeper from just the bottle until you taste it at first. You know what I mean?
I've had a number of people that they will want to support a local beekeeper.
Right.
Come up and they'll say, give me your little 8-ounce jar. I'll try it. And I say, well, if you want to try it, I have samples right here. And I'll give them a little sample of it. And they're like, give me a 1-pounder. So I have had a number of people that once they try it, they're like, yeah, that's good stuff. And then they buy my 1-pounder, or they end up buying 2 or, however many. But that is, I mean, samples, that's a huge selling point.
Free stings every yesterday, free samples today.
Exactly.
Yeah, Brian, one reason on the 2-pound bottles, and this is once again that law of supply and demand. If I was to sell my 1-pound bottles for 14 and my 2-pound bottles for say 20, I wouldn't sell near as many either. So
yeah,
no pressure to buy, a lot of pressure to try. There you go.
Great line from Philip there.
So Greg, I think now we can we're gonna do some rapid fire through some comments and questions here, and then probably wrap it up. So first of all, Brian, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. That does help. People don't realize how much it helps, but it really does. And I appreciate you for doing that, man. Let's see. Should we buy bees? Should we only buy bees locally? Greg, I'm gonna let you talk about that one.
I mean, that's a yes and no thing. What does that actually mean? I would say pick up your bees locally is more important than to buy bees locally, because there are a lot of pockets in this country where the bees don't have a lot to offer. Or worse, you're in a pocket of the country where whoever is supplying the bees is doing a very poor job in selling sick, diseased bees. In that case, local is not always better. So we have folks who travel all over the country to come to the farm every single year for nukes and packages in Queens, because they want to drive them back. They don't want to ship them. They want to support what we do. So should we only buy bees locally? I would say you should only pick up your bees locally, and do a little research. What is it that you actually want out of your honeybees? And then find a supplier who is operating with those ethics, and have those traits and attributes with your bees. Not all bees perform the same. They all are just like us. They might be more skilled at a certain other set of attributes than others, and they're all trade-offs. I would say, again, pick up your bees locally, but don't necessarily buy into the buy local to you. We'll talk a lot more about that as we get a little closer to that season, because there's a lot of unbelievable things that go on with bee sales.
Yeah, I have. They say beekeeping is local, and it is, but I've had tremendous success with actually improving my stock from a attitude and productivity status from bringing bees in from the outside, Queens particularly. In Alabama, you can't bring comb across the border into Alabama. So if you get bees, you have to buy packages or queens. You can't bring a nuke in here from another state. And so that's just a law here in Alabama. But, as far as bringing queens in, I have completely changed on average the overall attitude and productivity of my bees by bringing queens in from the outside. The local feral bees are quite feisty, and they're pretty productive and hardy. They're pretty tough. I think they're pretty good on mites, but pretty good on destroying mites. Like, I didn't have huge mite problems much when I had local bees, feral bees, but man, if we're talking about stapling your socks to your ankles, they're pretty good at that sometimes. And so I've been able to make some positive changes in my operation by bringing queens in from the outside, both from you, Greg, and from Zach in Hawaii and others. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. Cool deal. Next question here, comment. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Okay, this is something that we could probably do a whole stream
Round
and
the
team
horn,
on.
favorite spot to put a swarm trap. Bruce, you
Yes,
go first.
favorite spot. I like to put them about 6 feet up. I like to drive a nail into a tree and hang a trap up there where I can reach it. And I usually, if I put them up, nowadays, if I put swarm traps up, I keep them close to my bee yards right there to catch any swarms that I may miss. I don't really hang them out in the wild too much. I used to do that, and I had a lot of success with it. But I just use like an 8-frame box or 10-frame box. I drill a nail to a board on it with a hole in it, hang it up on the tree, kind of secure the top to it. I usually put at least 1 frame of drawn comb in there. You can leave the rest of the box empty. Or you can just put some empty frames in there, blank frames or frames with foundation. Don't have to fill the whole box up. And I've caught just, I don't know how many swarms that way. I don't get fancy. I don't buy specific swarm traps. I just hang a box, an old box on a tree. And if they get in there fine, I use Swarm Commander, put 1 or 2 squirts of Swarm Commander on the bottom of the lid, tack it on there, put 1 squirt at the entrance, and then come back every week or 2 and check it. And I've caught multiple swarms that way. Sometimes too, if I just got an empty spot in my bee yard on a pallet or on a stand sitting over there that's empty, I'll just stick a box there and put a couple of frames of comb in there with some Swarm Commander and just spray it and just let it sit right there on the bee stand. And I've caught swarms that way. Just bees just show up. And so it doesn't have to be too fancy. But if you put them in a tree, I hang them where I can reach them. You don't need to climb the ladder. They don't have to be 14 feet up like some people say. You put them on the side of a tree or a pole or the side of a building where you can reach them. Put the nail in there, maybe 7 feet up in the tree, hang the box up on there and come back. And that works really well. And you don't have to put them 14 feet up, which is what I've heard before.
Brian, what about you? Brian, you have a go-to favorite spot for a swarm trap?
I don't put swarm traps out.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, I don't do it much anymore either,
Yeah.
but I've got some older videos on my channel that have been real successful where I show how I set them up and then actually show what I do with them once I catch them. So it's been pretty cool. Mike Berry also has some really good videos on catching swarms and swarm traps. How he's done it. He uses a similar technique that I do.
One of the fastest ways to quickly realize that you're not as smart as you think you are is if you go on and read the books and watch the videos on the absolute perfect cubic inch capacity of a swarm trap. And it has to be built just like this. And it has to be just this size. And if this bearing and facing and all this kind of stuff, and you do all that, and then bees move into like old junky equipment laying in a pile somewhere, and you're catching swarm after swarm and just the dumb places, dead outs that are sitting on the stand still, boxes that are, you don't even know how the bees got in. They found a nook and cranny somewhere into a stack of boxes and are like, don't overthink it. Get some equipment out there. Don't worry about it too much. If you're a beginning beekeeper with no bees, that's a little different than if you already have an existing apiary. But let me tell you, bees move in so quick to existing equipment every single spring if you just leave some equipment out. But what they will always do is that junky pile of garbage equipment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You knew you should have gotten rid of a long time ago. That's just still there in the pile, just laughing at you when you drive by all the time. The old Jester Easy Nuke boxes, those are the ones that catch the swarms. So don't overthink it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's true. Last year I caught 2 swarms in my stored honey supers that had some openings in them, and I let them stay in there too long. And now actually both of those colonies still are in existence. They're out in the bee yard now doing quite well, but what a hassle that was. Lisa came and helped me. That was a pretty fun video too. She came and helped me get them out of there. Next quick comment here. Would you keep the packages in a little box for a day while you feed them and then put them in your 10-frame box or 5-frame box 1 or 2 days later, or would you do it right away? Greg, that's a great question for you with your packages.
Yeah, great question. Uncle Junior 52, if you go to our website, actually, if you can go to nature'simagefarm.com, that opening product, the package bees, if you click on one of those, if you scroll right down, you'll actually see a video on how to install packages. That'll lead you right to our YouTube channel where you can see a lot more on that. But when it's done correctly, those feed cans are still nearly full. But a lot of times that's not the case. When we bring them right up through the night, like they haven't even hardly been 24 hours when folks are getting those bees from when they were shaken. Like that's a huge deal. 24 hours from going from their home being shooken into a package and then you're picking them up, like that's incredible. That's what I would recommend. When you do that, the feed cans that are in the packages are still nearly full. But I always recommend getting the bees out of that package as soon as you possibly can, just so they can get to work. They can spread out. They can go to the bathroom. it creates the least amount of stress. If you can get those bees transported responsibly, quickly, and to you, and you get them into another box fast, you'll see they will outperform your wildest expectation for package bees. And it is not uncommon when they're good bees, when they're transported correctly, when you get them installed the right way and you put feed on them to get that comb and things built. It is not uncommon to pull a bucket of honey off a colony of package bees and still have them grow, scare you how big they get, and still overwinter just fine. So install them, feed them, but make that happen as soon as you can.
Awesome. All right, quick. What would you feed your bees this winter? And Brian, you hit on that a little bit earlier. You're feeding them Hive Alive, right? Fondant right
Hive
now.
Alive fondant.
That's my game plan too, but I am amazed at how much honey my bees have stored. So I'm going to use some Hive Alive this year. I ordered a pallet of 20 boxes of that stuff. And so I've got plenty, I think, to last throughout the year with my colonies. But that's what we typically use during winter. Greg, any thoughts on that besides that?
That's it. There's nothing you're going to do now to make up for what you didn't do in the main part of the season. But the Hive Alive fondant, if you're going to go through the effort of putting fondant on, do not waste your money on just regular overpriced fondant that doesn't have any nutritional benefit to it. The Hive Alive fondant actually has the Hive Alive liquid additive to it, which is thiamol, seaweed, nutrients, things of that nature. It's not just repackaged knockoff fondant in a cleverly repackaged product. There's actually some substance to it that's going to be helpful for the bees as they are digesting on those sugars and processing and metabolizing. There's things in the additive to actually help their gut health and to help them do that without having things like the squirts. So the Hive Alive fondant for winter feed, that's my go-to.
Yeah, I like it too. And in some parts of the country and in the world, maybe you're in Florida or somewhere down here in the South where you can do some liquid feed. Have to be careful with temperatures though. If it gets too cold, you don't want to have above the hive feeders in there because it could drip. It could create issues with dripping on the bees when it's cold and messing them up, killing them. So what I like to do in the wintertime, or if I'm not, some fondant is my go-to, but if I need to feed liquid feed in the wintertime down here in the South where it is warm at times, I just like to put an open feeder out there where they can go get it on the warm days. On the cold days, they can't fly and get it. And that works well for me. Some people don't agree with that philosophy, but that's what I do. And I've had good success doing that. And I've got videos on my channel as to how I do that. If you want to check them out, how I do my open feeding, you can feel free to do that. Let's see. I think we already talked about Grammy, how the bees have kind of paid for themselves. Move on. Let's see. Greg, I appreciate the super chat. Thanks, man. It says, pro tip, don't have your package bees shipped. Thanks so much. Grammy gave us donated $9.99. Bruce the honey fiend, and Grammy has had hands-on experience helping me extract honey. She's been a great help to me. She lives right here close, and she is just an incredible friend, an incredible asset to the beekeeping industry and community, both locally and nationwide and worldwide. So check out her stuff. Check out her channel and her products. She's doing a great job. She is an incredible lady. All right, we've got at Davis Acres Dancing Bee says, hi guys, I'm thinking of ways to increase honey sales. What do you think of an artisan honey like small batch with specific flavors like early spring, clover, sunflower, or lavender? Thoughts? Brian, you hit on the vanilla honey earlier, vanilla infused, and we've talked about hot honey a little bit. I don't do anything like that personally, but when you say artisan honey, does that mean like the bees harvest from that particular crop, or does that mean you add those flavors to it, or could it be either one?
He's saying they're like small batch with specific flavors like early spring, clover, sunflower, or lavender. If you're harvesting for those specific flavors around here, like we just don't have enough of those. I don't know, like to get lavender, the only place that I've ever seen like true lavender honey is out in Hawaii, but they had like acres upon acres. It was at a lavender farm, and they literally had acres upon acres of lavender, and you could taste it. I mean, it was a fantastic honey. The small batches, as far as what I create, like with the vanilla honey in that, these things sell fantastic. I've learned when I very first started doing markets, once I kind of honed in on the sizes, I would set up a table. Okay. When my wife came down the one time, she looked at me and she said, "Is this it? You look ridiculous." I had this little 4-foot table, absolutely nothing on it. Okay. No shelving, no nothing. I just had my jars lined up on it, and I'm standing there. And even the guy that runs the market, he walked by and he said, "Well, you're a simple kind of fella." And, you know, Tara was like, "You look ridiculous." So I've expanded the display, but offering different flavors like that, that's going to draw people in. And you're going to get people that are going to look because they're going to want to get honey, but then they're going to see those other flavors. And if you do, like Lisa said, offer a sample, you're going to, instead of a customer buying one product, they're going to buy two, they're going to buy 3 items. So
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Greg?
That's perfect. If you have the ability to diversify and do it well, then do it. Start with a basic core offering, of 1 to 3 different things. And if you can do that and maintain that, and you keep seeing interest. If it's like, I think he mentioned there, I saw another comment there. He's actually talking about varietal honey, where he's got bees on flows. I think that is a way that you can isolate it and then market it as the bees were on that flow. When you get into infusing and flavoring and all those things, you'll find that you're going to hit some major bottlenecks pretty quickly on using some basic bulk honey as your main staple flavor part. And then if you're adding anything to it, any adjuncts to get the flavor where you want, it becomes a mechanical and equipment nightmare. There are some great things that you can do to help with that. We just wrapped up making up another batch of cream or of cinnamon honey, and that's where something like the Maxent creamer is just the absolute best on the market for it, because it's not just a creamer, but it can decrystallize and can also use it to infuse flavor into honey, because your motor and your mixer is already in one unit. So you'll find that you can start making your baseline offering in something like that, and then bulk process that off into other buckets, and then start adding your different flavors if that's what you're going to do. But I think if you can manage all of those different irons in the fire, then I think your customer base will let you know quickly if it makes sense for you.
Yeah, that's key. Does it sell? Now, he says he's got bees on lavender farms, sunflower farms, and flower farms. Gary does make a point here. He says honey will never be pure one type of honey. Bees will be bees, and you can't control what they will forage from it. Maybe a large part, though. So I think, Greg, and I don't know if you guys know what the percent of honey it needs to be when they analyze it to see to call it clover honey or Tupelo honey or sourwood honey or lavender honey. I think that it's really not a huge percent. You can actually call it, for example, say clover honey. If it's not, it doesn't have to be 100% clover honey. And the only way to be able to really, I think, claim that it is that is if you get, theoretically, is to get it tested, and they can test it. They can see what pollens and particles are in that honey. They can tell what kind it is. But you don't have to have 100% to call it Tupelo honey. It doesn't have to be 100% Tupelo honey. And however, I will say that down here, if I'm not mistaken, the Tupelo honey actually comes from the Apalachicola area for the most part. They bring in thousands and thousands of beehives down here during a small 1 to 2 week period of time. I think it's 2 weeks maybe. The Tupelo blooms, and at that particular time, I don't think anything else much is blooming in that area. So it's pretty darn pure that it is that. I think a similar thing happens with sourwood in the Appalachian Mountains up above a certain elevation. I think it's similar. But that is true, Gary. It's very difficult. You can't determine where the bees go. You can't usually really claim that. You can never claim there's 100% any kind of honey. But in order for it to qualify, it would be interesting to look that up and see what it takes to qualify as a particular type of honey. But it's a certain percentage of the honey has to be that particular product. And I'm not sure someone in the comments may know what that percentage is. But it is, I think that's kind of, anyway. Let's see. let's see, get rid of that one. All right, just a couple more things here. Tiny Creek, I think Tiny Creek's here in Alabama. Actually, he says I have 200 plus drawn frames and purchased 10 nukes. Would you expect to get a honey crop?
Brian saying yes. Bruce is going back and forth. Let me quickly jump in on this because the answer is no, but maybe yes. And here's the caveat there. Typically, when you're buying a spring nuke, it's going to be from a local provider who is making spring nukes off of their overwinter colonies. Typically, it's at the time on a buildup on one of those first early flows that they're making the split, and then that queen cell or that queen has to have time to do her thing first. What you will typically find is nukes, if they are made on that first spring flow, that main spring flow, they are not going to make a significant honey crop that year because they're not going to be to size yet. Just because they have some drawn comb doesn't mean they actually have the field force to actually do that. I've seen it time and time again, and we do it here in the learning yard to prove this. Not just to prove this, but it proves it every single year. Package bees started late March or early April here in Ohio. Will nearly almost every single time, as long as the weather cooperates, we'll make a honey crop the same year. But the nukes that we make that aren't ready until June, they're not making a honey crop for you that year. Maybe some fall flow. You may pull off some frames, but you're not going to pull a bucket of summer honey off of a nuke that's made and ready June 1st here in Ohio. So if you had 200 drawn frames and you purchased 10 nukes, if they were overwintered nukes, or if they were nukes that were ready earlier than when your local area would have those available, then you could make a honey crop. But we're going to get into this later on this year, guys, because nukes and packages, I mean, there is an extreme amount of nuance. Not all packages are created equal. Not all nukes are created equal, and there is a lot of details in there.
Great question. I'm sure we'll talk about that as winter and spring approaches, and people look to making splits and things like that. So this is I can answer this real quickly. How many hives does Bruce have? Right now, I'm around probably 120 to 130. I was up to 150, and I have lost a few. But right now, that's about what I have. And to be honest, most of them look really, really good. But I have a few that probably aren't going to make it. Some that are looking pretty weak. But we'll just see what we end up with in the spring. And Greg and I are going through an experiment right now with some bees. We'll see how. I'm a little nervous about some of them because what we're doing, but hopefully they'll turn out strong. All of them turn out strong in the spring. But I'm sitting at about 120 to 130 probably right now. And if I get out of winter with 100 to 110, I think I'll be in good shape. That's about what I like to come out of winter with. And then I usually build up to that 130 to 150 mark. And the goal is about 100 production colonies, and it's worked out well for me the last couple of years. Let's see. And this will be probably the last question for the night. How do you like using your 7-frame Apame nuke box? Brian, do you have one of those?
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Greg,
that's all I'll say. I love it.
Do you use the 7-framers at all?
I do. Very sparingly, just because we're so try to be so uniform in the 10-frame equipment. But we do have some Apame equipment here, and it's very well built. Has a lot of great little features and benefits to them. The little 7-framers are nice because you can split it. You can have a couple colonies in there. You can stack boxes, and they're nice. If you have a favorite or a prized queen, or you've got something going on and you want a little bit more thermal protection, then I think those Apame 7-framers come in pretty handy.
Yeah, I just thought of something on the previous question. For me down here, I make my splits. I can get them done sometimes in February if I can happen to get my hand on some queens out of Hawaii or somewhere else. And so last year I made some really big honey crops off of some of those nukes that I split out, but it was earlier in the year, around the time the earliest packages were probably being made, if not earlier. So in that case, I've had good success making some honey crops on those, especially if you have 200 frames of drawn comb. Drawn comb is gold too. They can just fill that stuff up so fast. But that's an additional comment there, and we do appreciate that question. As far as the 7-frame, as far as I'm concerned with the 7-frame, Apamay nuke boxes. I love them. I've got 3 of them, and they are really good for catching swarms. You go out, you take that box, it's got the doors that you open and close. You can drop a swarm in there. If someone asks you to come get a swarm, or you have one even in your bee yard, if you keep one of those things in your truck all the time, you can just hold it up to a tree or just bump them in there. The bees all go in, you close the doors, and you can take it wherever you want it very easily. Same thing with nukes. They're real easy to move bees in those because the doors close up and they're lightweight. They're heavy for a nuke box, but they're lightweight compared to a 10 frame box for sure. They don't come apart. They hold together really well. The lids strap on, so they're really good for catching and moving bees. Also, the bees I've had great experience with them as far as quick, rapid growth. Like, I catch swarms in those things. I've set them up as swarm traps before too. I had an Apamay 7 frame box just sitting out by my garage this past spring, I think late spring, whenever it was. Did a video on it. Came home one day. I think my wife may have noticed it first. I'm not sure if she did or I did, but she's like, "There's a swarm in that. But I don't have bees in my backyard anymore here in Dothan, Alabama." So a swarm had moved in, probably a feral swarm. Now, who knows if they were remnants of my bees from the past that were in my backyard, but had moved in there. I moved them to one of my bee yards out I think in Midland City. I marked the queen purple because that's my new marker for bees for queens I'm keeping an eye on, maybe from swarms or from feral bees. I want to check and make sure they're going to be good bees or whatever, and I'll replace her. I just keep an eye on those. But man, they moved right in there. Nice little swarm. I think they made me a box of honey, if I'm not mistaken, this year, and they moved right in that Apamay box sitting right out here by my garage door. So it was a swarm trap. I didn't even mean for it to be a swarm trap, and they called it a swarm of bees there. So they're really handy boxes. And I know Stan Gore, Texas Friendly Beekeepers, I think that's all he uses, loves them. So, and the bees really do well in that size box. I think a cluster, it's really a natural size cluster for them. So they just love that 7 frame size. And you can buy supers to stack up or whatever you want to do with them. The supers are the same dimensions and everything, and it works out really good. So many opportunities. But I've got 3 of them, like them. I use them, and every year I use them the last few years. So I mean, if they're expensive, but they're durable and they're tough and they'll last you a good long while, and they're a lot of utility, a lot of things you can do with them. It's a
I
really
used
good
my
deal.
7 framer to catch a swarm this year.
Yeah, they work really well.
Mhm.
So I'm going to kind of close it out here. We've got Uncle Junior 52. 52 is my college football number. Good number there. 999 super chat. A cup of hot chocolate money. That's awesome that you thought of that, Uncle Junior. I don't drink coffee, but I will drink hot chocolate. So that worked out good for me. It's perfect for me. We appreciate all who have joined in tonight, and appreciate the super chats, all the questions, all the comments. And it was a little bit of a different topic tonight, but I think it was fun because now is a really good time to focus on trying to market and share with others, whether you sell it or you just share it because you want to share it and give it away. That's fine too, whatever you decide to do. But it's a great time to get the product of your bees' labor throughout the year and your labor throughout the year and get it in other people's hands. And it's just a great time to do that, and share a little bit of what you're doing. And so I guess round the horn real quick. Coming up this week, I was planning on this Friday going out and removing the Formic Pro strips or pads from the first round of application I did 2 weeks ago, but it's going to be 95% chance of rain and all the days that I could do it. So they may stand it a little bit long. The truth is with the Formic Pro, from talking to Tom, most of it gases off and does the work within the first few days. And so, when you pull them out at the end, you can barely even smell them. They're not real strong anymore. So it's probably not going to be a big deal. Plus, it's been a little bit more cool here the last few days, and so it's not going to hurt to leave it on there a few extra days if I can't get out there and get it off this weekend. But that's kind of what I have coming up. I'm still trying to figure out the direction of my YouTube channel. I'm going to continue to do some of the things I've done in the past, but I have a project I want to take on. I just haven't had the energy to do it or figured out exactly what I want to do, but I'm still working on that. But that's kind of coming up. Don't have a lot going on with the bees right now, except just kind of checking weights, cracking lids, and just kind of peeking on overall health. And not, it's just that time of year. We'll add fondant as we need to, or as we feel like we want to, and that's about it. Brian, how about you?
As far as work with the actual bees right now, not even going to touch them. It's just we have our weather is going to dip down. It's going to be cold. And like tomorrow we're going to be below 0 wind chills. The bees are they're tight. They've got their fawn and they've got weight, so they're doing what bees do this time of year up here. They're clustered up and they're just sitting tight. But I'm excited to actually get this last market done Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Once that's done, then I'm gonna kind of relax and chill for a month or so. I'll be thinking of things that I have to get set for next year. I already have, but I just want to get this market done. That's all. So,
Hey, Greg, before we move on to close this thing out, I want to share a message I just got from some friends. Remember they got the Deb and Dale that did the song for us?
Oh yeah, Bugs in a Box. Yeah.
Alabama Bugs in a Box. Here's a message from them right here. They just messaged me and they said, hello, Bruce. Dale and I are watching the stream team tonight. I just wanted to tell you how much we appreciated you sharing the Bugs in a Box video from the Farmer's Daughter. That's the song they sang. If you want to see that, you can go back and watch it. I can't remember if it was on my channel or if it was on, I think it was on my channel, but I can't remember. But anyway, that was fun. They created a song called Alabama Bugs in a Box, and it was just incredible. It was really good. We sure enjoy the stream team. All the knowledge you all share with everyone. May God richly bless you all, Deb and Dale Sharp. So
nice. Thank you.
Anyway, thanks guys for checking in. And we know there's so many more that have been long timers and some new folks in here, but we appreciate everyone for checking in with us tonight and every time. And it's hard to believe we've been doing this for 4 years, but it sure has been cool. And it's been a lot of fun. And I think it's been time well spent. So, Greg, why don't you bring it on home for us? Let us know what's going on in your world and in the upcoming days and close it out for us.
Well, what's going on right now here at Nature's Image Farm is it's the saying, friends don't let friends paint bee boxes or have packaged bees shipped to their door. If you want to invest in the very best and wax tipped equipment, or you're anywhere in the Midwest and want to come out to the farm this spring to pick up packaged bees, or nukes, you can go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com, and you can learn more. We've got 3 great route pickups here at the farm for packaged bees. We'll be launching our nukes and the Hive kit, all that stuff a little bit later. Right now, just packaged bees on the website. That's what we're focused on right now. Those are things that we're doing to get everything organized and all the pre-orders in. That's kind of the main part. Other than that, it's a time of the year where we've accepted all of the things that we're not going to get done. We're just going to say they're not getting done, and that's on last year's list of things to do, and have to accept the fact that we only have so much time here on Earth. How are we going to spend it? What are we going to do with those days? Are we making a positive difference in this world? Lord knows we could spend every hour of every day chasing our tails, doing all of the things of man. We can certainly do that. But are you taking the time to serve? Are you taking the time to invest in your family? Are you taking the time to invest in your church? Are you taking the time to invest in yourself? Right now is the time of the year where you are bombarded from all angles by everything all the time, trying to steal everything from you. Your time, your money, your resources, your family. Spend the time and focus on the things that actually matter, the things that are going to make a difference in your life. It's just like being on an airplane. There's no way in the world you can help everybody else on that airplane if you're not sucking oxygen too. Take time for yourself. Spend a lot of time in prayer. Be thankful for what you've got, where you are. There are so many blessings. If the Lord woke you up this morning and you're listening to this bee chat right now, I guarantee you, you've got it better than so many other folks right now in this world. There's a lot to be thankful for. There's a lot to be grateful for. And I think as we roll into this very precious season, it's just another reminder of why are we doing all these things? Why are we here? What is our purpose as man on earth? Are you actually helping to fill that great commission? I'll leave you with that, and I'll remind you that Jesus is the reason for the season. And until next time, we want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.